been a busy hour.
Yeah. Yes, it has. Busy.
Are you marketing?
Ish day. No, I don't mean to be.
I'm just teasing you.
You're gonna be chilly now if I take off too many layers. Okay.
Hello. We're having some tea. Hope you join us. Grab a beverage, hot or cold, whatever your preference.
Smells really nice.
Settle in for an evening of...
Smells like apple.
Yeah.
And cinnamon and maple.
And cider.
Well, yeah, the apple, I guess, is apple cider, maybe more specifically. Was there, like, maybe a little honey flavor, too? Did you put honey in this?
I didn't put honey in it. I didn't add any sweetener. Sorry if you wanted that. I did not do it.
Oh, it's delicious. Doesn't really need sweetener.
Love it. This is what I had the last time, and it was tasty. I liked it. It's very soft, muted flavors.
It's funny because I actually picked out, right?
This one. Tea. Yeah, this is the one you picked out. I think I just said I wanted tea. We didn't have any fresh tea, and I wanted something seasonal that would be just nice. Do you want me to move this for you?
No, it's fine. No, I don't shuffle like fan the deck or anything like I would normal playing cards.
I stopped doing one on the days that we weren't streaming. And
I haven't, just by accident, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And then I did do one, possibly two, but I hadn't done it each day.
I meant to do one before I left for work today, and I forgot to do that, and I meant to do other stuff before I left for work today, like the chair. I forgot to do that as well. Sorry.
Who cares? Trash is trash.
It's out of our way, so at least.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I meant to do it too, so we're good.
But nobody wants to hear about the chores.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
We're about to enter Sagittarius season. So we got shifts a-coming.
And how much would you say you believe this stuff? Like, does it vacillate?
Yes. A lot, because I'll be like, this is just ridiculous, and you know science. If you're looking into this stuff for things you want to see, and you're human, and humans look for patterns and connections, then that's what you're finding. But then at the same time, when I read things and follow it regularly, I encounter stuff that is dead accurate consistently that I think, okay, maybe there is something to this. And maybe the scientific pull of us making connections and seeing patterns has a higher purpose, but we're only able to understand it from a scientific perspective. I don't know.
Right. No, there are so many possibilities, right, that it could be, and I don't know. I used to say, like, oh, I like absolutely not, right? And I wrote it off almost entirely because I was like...
Astrology or just like any, like tarot, like all of that?
No, not necessarily like everything. Astrology 100% was in the category of like, that's complete and total bullshit because... And like, there are some days that I get really close to that same position, like, because I'm like you were saying, patterns, but it works like both ways, where you can see the things happening because you read about the fact that they were going to happen, or you can be reaffirmed that things that happened were supposed to or meant this, that, or the other thing, like, because you're reading about it after the fact, and so you're like, oh, right, yeah, that's that, and it's like, well, I mean, I guess, okay, but there's, like, so many, there's just, it seems like there's, like, a story for everything. Right. So, like, everything applies to everybody, almost. When you, like, read those things, it's like, well, but okay, but so this one makes sense for me, too, kind of, if I think of this thing this way and this thing this way, it's like...
Right.
So... But I don't know. There's also a part of me that thinks, I don't know. Like, there are definitely days that I'm way more into the idea of, like, but like, our world is literally ruled by things that happen at such a small scale. We only recently begun to, like, understand some of what that is and how it works. And so, like, is it all that unbelievable that larger bodies, like planets and systems and stars and maybe even things we can't see, black holes, like with our eyes visually and stuff, like are having an impact or effect on just the way things are and the way things happen, and like very much like from the quantum scale up, like the cosmic scale down, like why would it not potentially, like in science I don't know, you usually, like, if you can assume one thing about this, then it's like, well, it's not super out of the realm of possibility to assume, like, a similar thing for another similar thing. Like, that's a logical leap. A lot of scientists, I would think, would be comfortable, like, could be comfortable making. And just, like, knowing that we don't fully understand gravity, even. Especially, it's, like, effect on smaller bodies and whatnot, I think is one of the things, or larger, I don't know, but the fact that we don't fully, it's like, that's such a basic thing, you feel like, that, like, well, if we don't fully get that, then there's probably a whole lot we don't fully get, right? Like, there's probably a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea that, like, the planets and all the things of astrology are perceived as filters of energy, and so they may carry certain types of energy, and that looks a certain way when it gets to us as humans, but then you yourself have your own situations, your own filters and perceptions of what you do with that energy. So astrology is giving you this generalized concept of things based on these, like, filters and these, just attributes that we've assigned. And, it also happens when there's, like, a full moon. So, like, we have a full moon coming up over the weekend as well in Sagittarius season. So that's bringing a lot of different energies to people as a collective. But then where you are in the world, what influences you have, like, so many things can alter the attributes down to you and what it looks like for you in your day-to-day.
Right. And so, like, it's like from the science, like from like a scientific-ish lens, right? There is quite literally, I think, some amount of energy being transferred. And I think some of that energy, like I'm talking about the light from the sun, at the very least, right? You're bouncing off the moon when you're talking about, like, but then people being in different parts of the world, like, we know that light can be altered by other things in the atmosphere. That's like what, like, different colors are in the sunset, I think, if I understand that correctly. So the idea that someone in a different part of the world, the light, the photons that they're getting hit with are slightly different than the ones being hit by us on the, however far away.
Right.
Isn't super crazy, right?
Far-fetched.
Yeah, it's not by a huge amount, at least, I would think.
It's not
but
scientifically backed, I guess.
No, well, I mean, how would you, though? Like, but to just write it all off was, like, also, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe a mistake. It's weird. And then you talk about the placebo effect, right? And how
powerful it is.
Right, is a thing. And so, like, even if...
Is that wrong?
Well, right? Even if that's just one of the big benefits you're getting, it's... why not? I don't know.
But also thinking... I know, right? Like... Okay... It's not scientifically backed. It would be difficult to back it.
Well, it's like impossible, kind of.
But it also just has a history of being like a trendy thing recently. medieval times negative thing. So, like, it has a history in society as well that I think lend to some of the ideas that people hold about it being fake. And I kind of just look at these things as, like, vessels to, like, my own inner abilities to, like, commune with whatever greater being is there, or whatever greater, like, purpose or whatever that I have. Like, it's almost like a tool for me to work with, but I'm the only one that can come up with what suits me, I guess. And I just hope that I'm not getting reflected back to me whatever I want. It's like the only thing I ever get concerned with from time to time. That I'm not just, like, creating what I'd like.
I've never pulled this card before.
Ooh, it's a treat. This one's actually really pretty.
This is beautiful, I think. It's the moon.
I like I believe it's a wolf and a lizard?
And it's what, the 18th card of the major arcana? Is that right? Is that what that means? Okay.
Correct.
And I'm just getting that from the 18 up here in Roman numerals, and I just happen to know that this, because it isn't, like, of whatever, that it's not one of the 4 minor suits. But wow, look at that. That's a really cool image, right? Like, I love the wolf howling at the moon, and like, I kind of love the fact that the crescent is a face, but only the crescent, even though it's a full moon. I've never seen, like, the face and the moon represented that way before, I don't think. Have you?
Yeah, no, I think it's meant to show, I actually have seen it like that in, like, kids books or visuals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just meant to embody, like, the phases of the moon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
To be able to portray that in a very, like, so it's, like, feminine.
In a still image. And
yeah. And, like, it grows into a full moon. But it's...
Oh, there's 2 wolves, a black wolf and a white wolf.
Yeah.
We'll have to read the
the little card thing.
Yeah, see what the artist
Here, let me hold this.
Producer has.
Can I take a peek real fast? Oh, it's like a lobster in the middle.
Let's see what
It's like a balance of... It's very cool. Ooh, there's patterns cross-hatching in the moon. Probably can't tell.
So we did pull this upright, and so the moon, unconscious, subconscious, illusion. The moon lights a road that leads to our higher knowledge. I guess that's represented by the mountains. This light, not as bright as that of the sun, reveals dreams, highlights intuition, and shows us the way to our own unconscious. Where the path begins, a lobster, representing our beginning awakening, emerges from a pool. Follow the trail that is guarded by a black wolf, our wild selves, and a white dog, our tame selves. Continue on between the towers towards the mountains that stand sentinel over our journey to the unconscious. Those towers can be seen as the balance between our intuitive mind and our logical brain. So that's something I feel like I've kind of struggled with my whole life, trying to balance those things. Well, I guess a part of it was just fully understanding that I had a pretty intuitive mind, I think.
Interesting
Wow.
choice of animals, too.
Yeah.
Like, the wolf and the dog makes sense. I wonder about the lobster.
So, I think the lobster is supposed to sort of represent our emergence, like it says, from the pool, which I take to mean, like, the primordial slime that life supposedly, like, you know what I mean? Like, cause
I know, it's just funny that you call
from
it slime.
Oh, whatever it is. You know? But crustaceans, lobsters, are incredibly old. Right?
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. Like, what
I'm pretty
fact
sure
about
they've been around a
lobsters in
really long
particular
time.
applies itself. But that would make sense.
You know, like, what the heck are those things?
What?
There's
Clams?
another sea creature that's been around that it's like
a mollusk?
no,
similar,
it's I don't know that it's a mollusk. It actually reminded me of like a trilobite. You know what a trilobite fossil is?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I can show
feel like I
you,
know
but
the
I'm not
name.
sure if we can show how we show our viewers actually, because I've never tried to do something like this.
It's okay. I'm sure they can Google it as well.
No trilobite fossil. It's got all those little legs underneath.
Oh, yeah.
This thing I'm talking about also has a lot of little legs like that kind of like unfurl from behind it or underneath it or whatever. I'm not sure. But I think I saw a video about them in the Chesapeake recently and how crucial they are for the ecosystem there and
Interesting.
yeah, stuff like that.
That's pretty cool. Do you feel like that card spoke to you today in particular, or just a learning day for you?
Just a learning day for the most part. Hey, Bobster, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Did you get a look at the the moon card that we pulled a second ago here? That one was mine.
I've been keeping mine out, and you've been putting yours back in, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been keeping mine out just because, I don't know, it's just what I'm doing.
Right, trying
I'm
to
rolling with it.
work your way through the deck, right?
Yeah, that's just how I'm going. I don't know.
No, I think I'll remember if I pull duplicates. I will read the moon pamphlet again for you, Bobster. It's actually very cool.
It is really cool and gorgeous.
Here, it's somewhere around here if you want to go through to hold it up again to show it.
Somewhere around the deck. You just gave me the whole way.
No, in the middle.
Okay. I was like, what?
So we pulled it, and it was upright, which stands for unconscious, subconscious, and illusion. The moon lights a road that leads to our higher knowledge. This light, not as bright as that of the sun, reveals dreams, highlights intuition, and shows us the way to our own unconscious. Where the path begins, a lobster, representing our beginning awakening, emerges from a pool. Follow the trail that is guarded by a black wolf, our wild selves, and a white dog, our tame selves. Continue on between the towers toward the mountains that stand sentinel over our journey to the unconscious. Those towers can be seen as the balance between our intuitive mind and our logical brain. And I said that was something I sort of feel like I've been working toward my whole life, balancing my intuition versus my logic and decision making.
Yeah, like trusting your gut.
Yep.
I feel that quite often. I've been trying to trust my gut a bit more. But it's hard because I like to give people...
So that balance is tough, right?
Yeah, and I think that sometimes we get bad impressions of people or situations, and I want to trust that people are human and we make mistakes, and sometimes things are just weird, you know, and you're like picking up on weird things. But sometimes I feel like I should have just went with my first instinct. Like I'm like, you showed yourself initially, and I should have trusted myself with that, but I didn't, and like look what happened.
I usually try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and it's after the second or the third time that I feel like, okay, you're showing me you're not who I thought you were, or whatever, because I mean, if I'm gonna do it for anything, it's that, you know, because that's sort of the point of everything, I feel like. But there's other stuff that I'm like, man, why didn't I just do it this way? For some silly reason, it did cross my mind earlier that I should take this route. And, if I had taken that route, I wouldn't have ended up in this situation. Why didn't I just do that? That sort of stuff, that used to drive me nuts. And I feel like it happens maybe a little less once I finally just accepted, okay, just do those weird things. Just be weird, dude. Whatever you're like feeling, maybe just go with it. Like, what does it matter? Who cares? It takes an extra 5 minutes to go the weird route today. Like,
yeah, no big.
Just go. Yeah, take it.
I used to do that with like questions on tests in school. And I noticed like a pattern for me when I would go back and check my work. I would change things on questions where I was slightly unsure of,
right.
And then I'd get them wrong, and my first answer was good, but I overthought it. And so I like ended up getting it wrong later because I changed it. And so I noticed that, so I was like, no, like just always like whatever you decided, when you decided to move on from this question, that is your answer. If you want to go back and look at it, you're leaving it blank and you're not giving it more, like you're not spending all day on it.
Right.
So I feel like I got really good at it for that, and that I have not applied it to any other area of my life. And I could really benefit from that.
Well, why don't you pull your daily card,
and
then we'll ask if
anyone else does tarot for.
Well, if anybody else wants us to maybe try to pull a card for them. We're not at a point where we're doing spreads or anything yet. At least I'm not. I think Anne Marie does spreads, right?
I've done spreads, but like I'm not. I'm still reading the book. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, I also have never done anything like virtually, so I feel that maybe that wouldn't be like good. Like
right,
I wouldn't.
You've done spreads for me, right?
Yeah, but it's very different when the person is with you in the present, and I don't even know that I've perfected that well. Whatever that may be.
Imagine it might even be different whether you're like familiar with the person or not too. Like,
yeah,
that might be another layer of like complexity. I don't know.
I've done them
like we
for
said,
Jenny.
nobody like really has a lot of these answers, right? Nobody's like, oh, I fully understand exactly how all this works. Like, I don't know. I don't think so. So I think kind of everybody's just figuring it out as they go along, right? There's at least some element to that, maybe.
I think so.
That's maybe some of the draw for me even. I like art and interpreting and discussing and even critiquing, in ways. Man, there's not much to critique about this one. It's a really solid piece, I feel like. And I don't know the artist or anything.
No, but it's the Bianco Nero tarot.
Did you? Yeah, I was just trying to kill time. Did you pull your card?
I did. I pulled a Two of Cups. I'm using a Celtic Tarot deck that I've had since I was young, just to get to know this more. So there's 2 cups, lots of like Celtic weaving and things going on, beautiful colors. I'll let you hold that while I just like give a...
I do like this colorful deck. It's very pretty.
It is.
I'm a big fan of color in general, but my Bianco Nero deck just called out to me.
Yours is beautiful though. I have other ones too. They're all very beautiful for different reasons.
All right. Do you have a reading?
2 of Cups. So it is a card of great affinity and union, a promise made between 2 people. It is a sign of love and friendship, which has a deep significance or commitment. Marriage is one outcome, but the great rapport shown can also be related to the loving partnership of a married couple. It's a very powerful attraction of 2 people that often crosses the dividing line of social and racial barriers. Any personal relationship founded at this time has a chance of lasting happiness. Love and marriage, greater understanding in a partnership, the union of 2 people which creates a perfect balance of the masculine and feminine qualities. And that's all. It's a very simple one. Cups is like supposed to be the element of water in this deck. So it carries a lot of that flexibility and movement.
Flow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Emotional.
Yeah, I do. I like that. It's simple, but it's pretty. Did it mention what the swirls behind the cups mean? Why there are 6 swirls, like in that in this like almost flower pattern.
Yeah,
That's what I'm sort of
it
curious
just said
about.
like a circular window of spirals form
Okay.
a rose hexagram.
Okay, so it's a rose window. It is a rose window. So that's like a feature of Gothic architecture.
Oh, okay. So
I
it
believe
was
it's.
meant to
I
be.
believe it's Gothic. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've had an art history class, but they're really pretty features of like cathedrals and churches and things.
Well, it makes sense. A lot of this is tied to like Christianity because it's Celtic.
There's
and Druidic.
the overlap
Dru-
is
Druidic.
Druidic, I guess.
Druidic.
I think it would probably be pronounced Druidic.
Druidic.
Yeah, no, the overlap with Catholicism and stuff is pretty interesting, especially with obviously the Celtic one. There's a little bit more, but there's some even just in the regular deck. It feels like kind of.
Yeah. Well, definitely, it makes sense too. But yeah, I don't know. I always liked this deck. I just found it to be so pretty and like simple. And I felt like this deck in particular put a lot of hidden symbols or representations throughout that would sometimes be helpful for me when I was trying to recall what the card meant. So it was like a nice visual reminder, like, oh yeah, this is whatever. And just even knowing that cups are representative of water and having, learned what water is and using it in my own practices, I think is helpful. So yeah, that was that I always say this is the card that I need to know. Like, show me what I need to know. So I guess this was the card that I needed to know for the next 24 hours.
See, I ask sort of the same thing, but I ask more in like, I'm trying to understand what this is. Show me what I need to know. Like, tell me what I need to learn today about this deck so that I have a better grasp of it, a better understanding, and like, trust that I understand this well enough that if you also need to sort of teach me something, I will interpret that appropriately. So it might be both, right? Like, and I have to consider that in what I have going on. So.
Yeah. I don't even take it as like learning when I put my question out there. I'm just like trying to feel what card is meant to be mine. So sometimes I will break the deck like over and over again, or I just like move piles around because I'm like, no, like there's a card that I'm meant to have right now. What card is that?
Right, you don't feel like you've gotten it.
Yeah, and sometimes it like repeats. Like I like think I'm doing one thing, but then I go back and rearrange it because I'm like, nope, this was my card. Like I know this is my card. And I don't know. It's like a feeling. I can't say that that's wrong or right.
Yeah, no, I think again that it's like we were saying that it's not something that's understood. It's not a science. There really isn't anybody that can tell you do it this way with and that's right and this is wrong. Like it might not even be the same, like we were saying at the beginning about how individualized stuff can potentially be, because we are obviously individuals in our unique spaces. Like that it's impossible to say if there is even a standard way for it to work, or if it's just more of a feeling thing. Like I suspect it might be. So
yeah, I don't know. Does anyone else have any experience using tarots?
Oh. You just let them chime in whenever they want, usually.
I was wondering what your was for.
Yeah.
I thought you were like saying a word or something.
No, I mean, there's no problem with asking, but I don't know that anybody's even right now watching. And we're supposed to be putting on like a show, so people can just tune in and enjoy, even if they only have a little bit of time. They might just appreciate our conversation or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't care if anyone
So when we
responds
have
or
more,
not,
when we have more people, it's more fun to ask questions and get I would love to engage more, but I feel bad asking a lot of people who are maybe the only one or two people watching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if someone wanted to, they can.
Of course. I mean, that's what the whole thing is about.
And I don't think you want to
inspiring conversation.
Yeah, you don't want to shut anyone down either if they're like, well, I would have said something, but I don't want to bug you guys.
Oh, no, of course not. I wouldn't be here having the conversation otherwise.
I do enjoy these because I like giving myself just like a time to think. Like how simple is that? You know, like how short and simple, but it was like my time, and I could sit and reflect on what that meant to me.
Somewhat meditative. Right?
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's a nice little thing to just sit and consider, contemplate. Have you read or seen anything that you wanted to, like anything else that you wanted to talk about that you thought like, oh, this is really interesting?
Perfect for this. Lately, no, I mean, so today's Monday, so I always do like my astrology for the week. And that's what I shared with you this morning. Okay. Yeah, because it was like a big message in total for people to focus on what matters towards the end of this week. Because there will be a lot of energy that maybe feels chaotic or throws a lot of things at you. But it's your job to say, no, this is not most important for me to put my energy into right now. And so just kind of like in the beginning of the week, as you're feeling ambitious and hopeful, remind yourself as the week goes on, like, I control what I put my energy into. So if something comes up, I can say, nope, sorry, not right now. And set those boundaries.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense.
Either way, I struggle with that, so.
No, yeah, me too. But it's also sort of like we were saying before, kind of applies to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because it's coming up on Thanksgiving. So, like, and everybody always says, like, you come back from those sorts of holidays, they're like, I need a vacation from that vacation. I had to just deal with 3 days with my brothers or my uncles or my whatevers that were like, oh my God, nightmare.
It's actually, like, I don't know. I find it so sad the way we kind of assume people have holidays.
Yeah.
Because I...
Oh, no, absolutely. For a long time didn't, right? Me too.
But also, I remember working at Wawa, and people would come in, like, when I had to work on the holidays.
Yeah.
And, like, people would come in, and they would order, like, the Thanksgiving dinner, and they would sit and eat it in their car. Like, There were many people. Like, It was not like, oh, you have one customer. Like, there were so many people. And maybe that's what they wanted to do. Like, maybe they were like,
some of them
fuck
probably.
my family.
Right?
I choose me this year, and I'm eating my Wawa Thanksgiving dinner. Or maybe they finished and were like, I got an appointment, and they just were like, I'm bouncing out of here. This food sucks. Like, it could be many things.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. That does feel a little sad.
Yeah, I just feel like I wish that we all approached it differently instead of assuming people were, like, having big feast and could afford that and we're going with a huge family and gonna do all these fun things, that we kind of just approached it like, what are you doing with your time off? Will you be celebrating?
Yeah.
How? I don't know. I know that I would lie too, because I didn't want to be like, oh, well, my family's here and here and here and we're not speaking and they don't like me right now, so I'm not doing things. Like, it was just easier to be like, oh yeah, going to my parents, you know? Mm-hmm. Much easier to just give that generic answer.
Yeah, that's true. People might just do that anyway, though, even if people were more inquisitive, so.
For sure.
I don't think I've read or seen anything. I thought there was one article that I read recently. Did I tell you about the podcast I listened to about consciousness? That was last week, but it ties very nicely into the moon card that I pulled earlier.
You started talking about it a little bit.
It's really interesting stuff. It's like, it's not established science. Like, we still don't, I don't know, fully have a great working knowledge or understanding or even definition for what it is. It's like one of those weird things, and so that of course fascinates me, and I'm like, well, I want to know a lot about it. What are the smartest people saying about it right now? And this guy is, I think, written at least one book on the subject. And
what is consciousness?
Yeah, basically.
Who do you know the author? Or is it it's a specific scientist?
Goss, I want to say his last name was. Oh man, I had the title. I have it written down. Downstairs.
Is it the one downstairs? Oh, it's something like the universe. Yeah. I can't remember.
And
But
the
yeah.
universe why or something. It really is something like kind of like that, I think. I can't remember exactly.
No, yes, you are correct with that.
I believe he was the guy that was on the podcast. And I
Okay.
had written the title down. This happens to me so often. I had written the title down earlier in the day
Mm-hmm.
and then just like went looking for like a consciousness podcast and found one. His name wasn't attached to it because like he's just like a scientist who wrote a book. So it's like the title was like consciousness and something, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
And but like so I play it and then like I find out, oh, this guy who wrote the book about the title I wrote down earlier is the guy talking to me in this podcast later it was so weird, but I was like, okay, so now I definitely have to read this book.
Well, it's because you're being spied on.
Yeah, well, maybe.
They were like, oh, he's into this.
Maybe. But I mean, I didn't type the book out. And I don't know that I saw that information on my phone even, but who knows what, I mean, you're not, I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole nother conversation, right?
Tonight
Like,
is
that's a whole
just
nother-
approaching consciousness.
That's a whole nother
Tomorrow will be about AI spying.
conversation. Oh, yeah. And the governments and
We're keeping
the
it light
corporations.
and mellow.
And anybody else who wants to chime on in on that.
Keep it a chill conversation, just a light discussion on what is consciousness.
I mean, it's just so weird to me that like there's like people are like, and I do like I love science. I love science. I
Mhm.
love that it's like a standard way of understanding the world around you. Like that anyone can do that stuff is so cool, and I love the fact sort of that there's a good bit of stuff we still don't know. Like
Oh yeah.
like even just here on Earth. Like, we haven't explored all of the oceans. Like, what, dude?
I know. Well, that
It's
is
water. Let's
terrifying.
figure out what's in there.
That scares me. Like,
I
what
know
is down
there's
there?
a ton
Like,
of it, though, and it's not really suitable for people to be in.
no.
You know? So, I mean, it's so cool. I love that stuff. The preternatural, the unexplored, that stuff fascinates me, and I love thinking about that stuff and
Yeah.
talking about that stuff.
Well, we were just watching that movie. Well, it wasn't a movie. It was a short series. We started.
Elves.
Yeah, but it had to do with, I guess, like legends, folk legends.
Well, it was an Icelandic series, right, on Netflix, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And it was we only saw the first episode and 30 minutes or 20 minutes of the second, right? We fell asleep pretty early on, so like we're pretty sure she found an elf, but we don't know really anything. And
The synopsis had linked elves to fairies, and like the old school fairies where they are
Oh.
hideous, like monsters, not
Right.
like the kind that it's like, oh, they're like beautiful and sprightly in like the
Right,
Irish
cute.
forest, but then if you don't give them an offering or they're just like tricksters, so
Right.
like
so
for whatever reason they want to like
they're
mess
not
with
happy,
you, or they
right,
want to
they might
mate with
be
you, or
monstrous
yeah, then they like show their true form, which is like a goblin. And yeah, it's
That's
I mean
cool.
it's so interesting, but I thought it was neat that this was like linked as an elf, that elves are just like a subspecies, maybe not sub, but like a, I don't know,
like another branch of hominid.
but of
people?
fairies
Oh, okay.
is what
see.
I mean.
Okay,
I
okay.
could be very wrong. Obviously, we haven't finished, but like that's
That
what I
makes
was
some-
picking up on, and they were
that's-
giving the elves
Yeah.
like cattle offerings,
I remember that.
and they
part,
were
yeah.
being like
Let's not
unruly.
spoil too much, obviously, because it's so far. I enjoy it. I don't love the subtitles all the time. Like you have to be in the right mood to be reading.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't mind subtitles. But it is when you're like, I just put something on and I'm probably gonna fall asleep to it.
it doesn't work, right?
And yeah, then I'm like, well, and it always feels like we pick out really good ones that are from another country right before we're about to go to sleep, where I'm like, no, I really want to watch this and I have to read.
Right. Pay attention. Yeah.
So like, I need to save it. Like I need a whole category that's just like
For when you're awake.
foreign
after
films
espresso.
to read. After espresso, yeah, exactly. While I'm on my bike.
All right. What do you think? We're coming up on 40 minutes, I think, here.
Yeah, you were the one that said what was your
Just somewhere
determination?
between 40 and 60, I thought, is appropriate. I think that's like a reasonable amount of time.
Okay.
You and I can have intelligent conversation for at least that long. I'll probably every day of the week if we wanted
If we
to.
want-
We
yeah.
just don't want to be on doing this every day of the week for that long.
No, I think we just wanted to commit to something that we could do realistically. So we were like, okay, Mondays, Tuesdays,
Yep.
we can do that, and then we can always add on more.
Yeah, well,
if
we'll
we're
try to
feeling
do
good
a
about it.
Thursday. We'll try to do a Thursday one, but obviously this week isn't going to happen because it's Thanksgiving.
Right.
It's a holiday, you know. I don't think we'll do a Thanksgiving one, but who knows? Maybe we'll do a surprise Friday one or
Yeah.
something fun because it is a holiday.
And we won't always be doing tarot. That's just kind of what we started with as a tool to kind of guide our conversation. But the idea is to have very, comfortable, intellectual.
Yeah, kind of offbeat
Just-
conversation. I
yeah.
guess. Like, you know, like sort of out there. At least that's where my conversation likes to live. It's like on the fringes of things, you know,
On
or
the
like I was
edge.
saying earlier, yeah, of like understanding and so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well-
Come on back and we'll talk about some other fun stuff and feel free to join in or email. We have an email set up,
Yep.
right?
Inspiringconversation@gmail.com.
Yeah, so if you have a good conversation topic or something interesting you'd like to discuss with us or ask us our opinion on, send it to us. We'll try to read it ahead of time. And
Yeah. Yeah, we want to build a community of people that just want to hang out and chat. Have a drink, whatever it may be.
yeah, maybe we learned something. Maybe you learned something. Hopefully we all learned something along the way.
Hopefully.
All right.
Hopefully we don't get more dumb.
We're gonna say goodnight.
All right. Have a great evening.
Yep. We'll see you next time.